younger the child, the more the language is going to have to be concrete and not the way sometimes adults try to soften things by saying, you know, so-and-so's asleep now, or things like that, because they are very concrete. They're very literal when they're younger kids. And so if you say, you know, asleep or they've gone away, then they think, well, okay, well, when are they coming back, or when are they waking up?
I think that's the exact opposite of what most parents think, because you want to soften things for younger kids and think that older kids can handle it.
So you might, even if you say something like so and so has passed away, that's a little bit more literal, but you still may have to explain, what does passed away mean? Because they might not, depending on the age, again, they might not have ever heard that language before. So that will, you know, could just totally go over their heads. Also, there are, you know, unfortunately, there have been situations where the feelings of grief pop up at other times, and so kid-friendly organizations have some things out there where you don't necessarily have to come up with the language. So those are the things that, if you are just totally at a loss, those are the areas and the organizations and the books and things you want to reach out to. Those kid books, those kid organizations that, you know, we kind of all know and all grew up with. Those are the things you want to reach out for language if you don't really have good words to put on it.
What's a good one you'd recommend that people reach out
Sesame
to?
Street.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Sesame Street has, and you can YouTube those videos, or go out and just look for books on grief, or books on talking to kids about grief or about death. That's the the helpful part about, you know, the way our society has grown, and there's a niche for everything out there. I guarantee you there's a book written about this already, and Sesame Street absolutely has videos out there on death and grief and things like that.
Why is it so important for parents to take some time to research this before they talk with the kids?
Well, because, you know, kids are probably going to have questions. And this is a sensitive time for the child and for the adult, because this is hard for adults to deal with. So, you know, kids can come with questions from just out of left field on a regular Tuesday, let alone when something like this happens, right? So you want to have some level of information just already at the ready for you, so that you're not totally blindsided, and you have some words to say, so that you don't just come out and say something that, you know, is not going to help them, or something that's going to minimize the feeling that they have. Because just because they can't totally articulate everything doesn't mean that they're not feeling it. It's just they don't know how to put words on it. You know, depending on the age, again, and the younger the child, the fewer words they will have to articulate. But one of the things that we see all the time in the therapy world, people who work with kids will play out everything that's going on in their world, and so when I say play, I add art into that as well. They will draw out everything that is going on, so allow them that free expression. Allow them, you know, you might start to notice that their play starts to look like what happened, or what they think happened to their friend. Allow that to come out. That's their version of talk therapy, because they don't have the words for it, but they can play like nobody's business. So allow that to come out in the play.
If you're alarmed by how they play, how do you respond to that and allow the grief process, but help them heal?
Yeah, that's where you seek out a professional, because the play, kind of like when a person, excuse me, an adult starts to talk over and over and over about one specific thing, it can become toxic for that person, that adult. It's the same thing with the play. When they kind of get stuck in a loop of that bad thing, and they keep playing that bad thing over and over again, that can become toxic for them, and you probably will need the help of a professional to kind of kickstart them into bringing in, whatever the helpers are. Oftentimes in play, you might see them bring in the toy ambulance, or you will see them bring in the cape, or the shield, or the whatever it is that is supposed to be the saving grace. That's how you know, okay, they've kicked through this just a little bit. And even if they kind of go back to that toxic play just a little bit, as long as they keep coming out of it and not just continuously circling in that, you can start to see some progress. But this is one of those things that if you don't know, if you're even remotely not sure, contact a professional, because you don't want them to stay stuck in it. And then they start to kind of grow up with some wrong ideas about what the situation was, or what death is, or what grief is. You don't want them stuck in that.
In one of these cases, 3 of the children were murdered. Do you actually tell that to your kids?
Again, that's depending on the age. An older child, you might actually, like a teen, you might actually be able to use that word. Younger children, you may want to use different language. So and so is not here anymore because this other person did something very, very bad to them, and they're not alive anymore.
What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about children and grief?
I think one of the misunderstood things is that that children cannot handle it. Children who are healthy are resilient. So they might go through some things initially, kind of like the adults are going through some things initially. But as you bring in the helpers, a healthy child will be able to have that resilience. And it doesn't mean they're going to be happy with it, but they're not necessarily going to be stuck in the negativity of it.